Reporting live from Jane Equipment. Today I'm going to be showing you how to replace your fluid pump section on your Titan Impact 440. It looks a little daunting when you're first looking at it, but it's actually a pretty simple repair, and I'm going to show you how to get that done today, hopefully in just a couple minutes. A couple tools I'm going to be using to do this job are going to be over here. So I'm going to be using a flathead screwdriver. I have an 11mm line wrench. I got my always handy rubber mallet. I have a Phillips head screwdriver. And there's one more tool I'm going to use. We're going to slide over here. And the last tool is a 3/8 of an inch Allen key. This tool actually comes with the repair part. So I wanted to show you guys that. The repair part we're going to be using today is 805207A. And what that comes with is our fully assembled fluid section. It's got the transducer installed on it. Also has our prime valve installed on it. We got our pusher assembly here. Also comes with the clip required. And then it's also going to come with the last tool that I mentioned, which is a 3/8 Allen key. It also comes with a replacement barb for your prime hose in case you want to replace that also, depending on how gunked up yours is. So let's jump right into the repair. So the very first thing I actually like to do is I'm going to get all of these hoses out of my way because I really don't need this here right now. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take my flathead screwdriver and I'm just going to pry this pin out. Nothing too difficult. Pin's going to come right out. Once I got this pin out, I'm actually going to use my mallet and I just want to kind of pop this down. And you see that just fell right down as soon as I gave it a little impact. So the last thing holding it together here is our prime or return line. I've seen a couple people, they recommend cutting this. If you have an 11mm line wrench, that's the exact size we're going to need, and it's going to bring it right out. And then that way we don't have to cut it. Okay. Let's get our hoses out of the way. Back over here. Got all that cleared out. The very next thing I'm going to do is I actually want to open up this front cover. It's just made of plastic. Phillips head screwdriver. Okay. And here's that piece. It just kind of falls in there. You might, when you take yours apart, you might find it loose in there. When we reassemble it all, it's going to find its home right there. And we'll get to that. We're fine there. So moving over here, we've got this all exposed. What I want to do next is there's going to be 2 Allen bolts underneath here that I'm going to go ahead and pull out using the tool that came with the repair kit. And you see them right there. So we've got those 2 large bolts out. And essentially at this point our pump lower is loose, but it's not just going to fall right out. So we're going back to our flathead screwdriver. And in here you got some gaps. So I like to start in here. I don't pry against this center section where our pump is, or our pump rod. I'll come from this side once I get it loose a little bit. But I always start from the center. I like to kind of go to the left side. Maybe because I'm left-handed. And I'm just going to kind of pry it out. And then you already see it broke loose. And like I said, I'm not going right into the center against the rod. If you come and look from the side, you see how you got this angle. It's clearly not come out that far. I do want it to come out evenly, so I'm just going to get that back end opened up. And now it's loose, but it hasn't come all the way out. And the reason is, if you look in here, you see there's this T figure here. That's actually holding the rod. The pump rod has the matching T, so when I slide it backwards, you see it's going to go right back. And now you can see how that T was matching up with that T there and there, so I had to shimmy it out. And at this point, I want to mention, you want to be careful, because you see your transducer sticking out real far. You start twisting this in every direction, you can cause some damage there. As it comes out, nice and easy, you see I have here a cord. A lot of times, if you just shimmy it, it might find its way out because there's a big plastic piece in there that needs to find its way out. If not, I'm holding the weight up and I'm just going to give the machine an angle. Now I can look in there, and if you look in there with the camera, you see that plastic piece in there. I'm just trying to get it to feed its way out. Pretty simple. Now we're going to disconnect it. So we've got our old fluid section completely out at this point. Pretty straightforward, like I said. And now we're just going to install the new fluid section, which is really the exact same steps in reverse. Your new fluid section does not have, the barb here installed, so you could probably install this now if you wanted to. I'm actually going to just reinstall the previous fluid section because this is a brand new unit. I'm just doing this for demonstration. So now you're going to watch me put it back together. And there's one step I'm going to go over that none of the videos touch on. And I'll show you that now, or, in a couple minutes. So, reinstalling the fluid section. We're going to do the exact same thing, obviously. We're going to go ahead and plug this back in. Just like a phone cord. Just want to make sure the clip actually grabs it nicely. And then we're just going to slide that back up. Right here, once again, we've got to match this. So I'm matching it and getting it in there. So right here, I do want to touch on something. This can go all the way back out the back or up the front. So when you're installing this back, you really want it to be right around in the center. And I'm going to stand it back up because there's a couple other things. Actually, this is a good angle. We have pins right here. There's a pin here. There's another pin back there. These pins are helping us align where it goes. If we look at the new one, or the replacement part, you see the holes for those pins there and there. So obviously we just want to make sure they're all lining up. So we're going to go ahead and line it up a little bit. And at this point is when a lot of people struggle. This is when I get the phone call. Because I'm lined up, I got everything in, but look, I can't really get it up back into where it needs to go. Why is that? The reason is the motor itself is too low. So we got to get the motor to move up so all this gets flush. And the only way to really do it, we're going to stand her back up. I'm going to make sure I'm aligned nicely here. And I like to just use my rubber mallet. Bring her to my edge of the table. Nice and careful. I'm not going to go crazy. And you see right there, I just lined it up. I didn't bang on it really hard or anything like that. I took my time. Just get some grease off my hands. So now we've got this lined up again. Just double checking that my pump is in there correctly. It looks really good. I'm going to reinstall the large bolts that I used the Allen key to take out. Want to make sure I got a nice, oh yeah, feels good. We got that all reinstalled. At this point, there's really only a couple things we have to do. We're going to put the faceplate back on, and we're going to reinstall this suction and prime hose. So we'll go ahead and do the prime hose. If we look at this pusher rod assembly, it has this part that's sticking up higher than everything else, and it creates a nice 90-degree elbow. If we look at this assembly here, you see there's a 90-degree elbow right there. that's the match. You know, these can go in different orientations, but that's where I like it. And I'm just going to slide it over like so. And once again, we're going back to a rubber mallet, and we're going to tap it right into place. So I'm not sure if you picked that up in the audio, but there was a metal on metal sound. Obviously, I can't go any further because it's moved all the way up to where it needs to go. So at this point, this pin, a lot of people install this pin incorrectly to the point where I have sold a lot more of these pins than I should have ever, honestly. The reason is a lot of people want to come in like this. They see this gaping hole. They want to come in this way. Honestly, it looks really obvious, but that's not the right way. This flat end, we're going to align with this flat end. And when I do that, it goes right in. If you find yourself struggling with this, you're doing it wrong. I literally just slapped it right into place because I lined up those two flat edges. That's the key to getting that part done. We've got that reinstalled at this point. We're going here to the cover. There's 4 screws. I have 2 here, 2 stayed inside the housing. You kind of see them right there. And they're fine there. I'll leave them there. But I am going to line this guy up. Just like that. And let's stand it back up. Okay. Oh. Almost missed a step, actually. Before we move to the faceplate, let's complete the suction and hose assembly. We got this part. This is just going to thread right up. Nothing very complicated. And like I mentioned before, if you were going to replace it, replace it. If you don't find it necessary, you don't really absolutely have to. And I'm not too worried about the torque on this one. I've got it up as high as it goes. I'm starting to feel a little bit of resistance there. I'm not going to go crazy. This is a brass barb. Brass is a soft metal. I don't want to strip it, which is why I'm specifically using an 11. So I'm not going to go too crazy here. If you find yourself having some leaking, you could try putting a little Teflon or maybe some Loctite there. But I've never had that issue myself, so I don't really, not showing you that in the video. So the final part, once again, we've aligned this little piece that likes to fall out loose. And we're just going to line it right back up. Just like that. And that's how it's done, guys. You guys have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to leave them on our channel, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, or Instagram. And have a great day out there.